Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. February 26, 2024. Sioux City Council meeting. Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Test, test, 1, 2, 3. Test, test, 1, 2, 3. Sioux City, City Council, test, test, 1, 2, 3. February 26, 2024. Test, test, 1, 2, 3.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
I move we adjourn the closed session. Second.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Call the roll, please. Done. I can wait. It's long in there.
Waters.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
O'Kane.
Here.
Shaner.
Here.
Scott.
Here. Can we stand for a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Shannon Pauling. That reads, the month of March has been designated a National Problem Gambling Month, and whereas problem gambling is a public health issue affecting millions of Americans of all ages, races, and ethnic backgrounds, problem gambling has a significant societal and economic cost for individuals, families, businesses, and communities. And whereas problem gambling is treatable and the treatment is effective in minimizing the harm to both individuals and society as a whole. Numerous individuals, professionals, and organizations have dedicated their efforts to the education of the public about problem gambling and the availability and effectiveness of treatment. Whereas Rosencrantz-Jackson Centers invite all residents of the Sioux City area to participate in National Problem Gambling Awareness Month. Now therefore, I, Robert E. Scott, Mayor of the City of Sioux City, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim March 2024 as Problem Gambling Awareness Month in Sioux City, Iowa, and encourage all citizens to support the National Council on Problem Gambling and Rosencrantz-Jackson Centers in their efforts to have the conversation with friends, families, patients, and clients about gambling addiction. We'd like to present this to you and say a few words if you would.
On behalf of Hard Rock, thank you for helping us promote awareness for problem gambling.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Heather Henning. We have a commendation that reads, whereas the first Rotary Club began in Chicago in February of 1905, so professionals and with diverse backgrounds could exchange ideas and form meaningful friendships. And whereas Rotary International focuses on ending polio forever, protecting the environment, supporting education, promoting peace, and other initiatives. And whereas the Rotary Club of Sioux City was established over 110 years ago and remains the premier service club in our community, promoting service above self, weekly programs, and annual projects to improve our community. And whereas the Rotary Club of Sioux City has supported countless humanitarian and community projects, including a story walk of outdoor park stations at Gordon Drive, a shade shelter at Chris Larson Park, an exciting outdoor play feature has been funded by our Rotary Club to further enhance our riverfront this year. Now, therefore, I, Robert E. Scott, Mayor of the City of Sioux City, Iowa, on behalf of the City Council, do recognize the 119th anniversary of Rotary Club in Sioux City and commend this observance to all citizens. Thank you for your hard work and all you guys do.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for allowing the Rotary Club to be part of the City of Sioux City, and we look forward to many years of service to come.
Thanks. Thank you. I thought it was her exit music or something.
Before we go to the consent agenda, I'm going to move to waive the rules to allow for consideration of a resolution awarding a purchase order to Centrifuge World, Rocheron, Texas, in the amount of $65,000, not including freight, cost of the purchase for one cyclo gearbox for the wastewater treatment plant. And we'd need a second for that. Second. And the reason we're doing that is it has to be done now. We can't wait a week.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Now we'll go to the consent agenda, which is items 2 through 16L or I. These will pass unanimously unless a separate roll call vote is requested. If you want to speak on an item, then please come up as I read that item and state your name and address for the record. If you want to speak on an item not under the agenda, please come up under citizen concerns. I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
2 are the reading of the city council minutes of February 12th, 17th, and 20th. 3 is a resolution adopting the Sioux City supplements to the SUDAS standard specifications and design manual. 4, Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program. A is a resolution scheduling a hearing on the annual plan. B is a resolution scheduling a hearing on the revisions to the administrative plan. 5, A through H are resolutions accepting applications for property tax exemption for improvements made in an urban revitalization area. 6 are actions relating to grants. A is a resolution authorizing the police department to accept the State Crisis Intervention Program grant to purchase a virtual reality training simulation suite.
I have a question on that one. Captain Bertrand, thank you. This is going to make a huge difference in our professional training. I had a question about this program in particular, though. When I went through Citizens Academy, we got to use the simulator, and it functions great, but as I understand it, some of that training has become outdated over the years, and it's kind of starting to show its age. And one thing that you had mentioned, this training, I wasn't sure if this training is something that is updated year by year, or if this is a one-time purchase and it never gets updated, essentially.
Good. First thing, the current system we have, the Virtua training system that we have, is it's just becoming obsolete. The machine's wearing down. The agreement to service it is costly and expensive, and it's hard to keep up with service of the parts. It's breaking as fast as we can keep it together. This new system will be a virtual reality system and will be updatable via software, and so we'll be able to just continuously update. There really isn't much in the way of moving parts. It's more digital or electronic, so we anticipate this to have a multi-year life cycle, and also allows a lot of flexibility. It's small, portable. This is kind of a thing we could take to a school. We could take it to Citizens Academy. We could take it on the road. We can do de-escalation training with other entities, hospitals, mental health personnel, et cetera. So it'll have a pretty big scope. It won't be confined to a location like our current system, and we'll be able to take this one mobile with us.
That's perfect, so you don't have to be trapped in that hot room. There we go. That sounds great. Thank you for your work on it.
Will you state your name and position?
It'll last forever, you're saying.
I wish it would last forever.
The other one was going to last forever, too. I was here when.
I wish it would last forever.
I know, it's not going to, so.
Ryan Bertrand, Captain, Sioux City PD.
Thanks, buddy.
B is resolution approving an application to the Federal Highway Administration Bridge Investment Program. 7 are civil penalties and suspension. A is a resolution scheduling a hearing on a $300 civil penalty against Circle S Riverside for violation of the cigarette laws. B is a resolution scheduling a hearing on $300 civil penalty against Save-A-Lot for violation of the cigarette laws. A is actions adopting construction documents. A is a resolution adopting plans and specs for the annual sewer cleaning project. B is a resolution adopting plans and specs for the annual manhole rehabilitation project. C is a resolution adopting plans and specs for the city facilities asphalt overlay project. 9 are actions relating to agreements and contracts. A is a resolution approving a consulting services agreement with Walker Consultants for the Discovery Parking Ramp Repair Project. B is a resolution approving a second amendment to the funding agreement, consortium member agreement with South Sioux City for a single-family house at 1805 Missouri View Lane. C is a resolution approving renewal of options number 1 to the service provider agreement with Ellison Construction for utility concrete construction project. D is a resolution approving renewal option 1 to the service provider agreement with AG Construction for utility concrete construction project. E is a resolution approving a prime services agreement with Passio Technologies for a CAD, AVL, and mobile fare pay system for the transit system.
Mayor, I have a question for Mike Collette on this. Just a general question, Mike. This is part of the modernization of the infrastructure for the transit system.
It is. So this is something we've been planning on and working on for several months. As you can see in the RCA, we put out RFPs. Last late summer, fall, we received 4 proposals. I think the one that we've recommended is not only the most economical, but one that will work well with our system for our residents. I think it really updates and hopefully enhances for people that use the bus system, and that's the intent of the grant funds being used as well.
So there's a one-time fee at the beginning and then annual
Annual maintenance on that software
after that.
updates.
Is that in line kind of what you would expect?
It is.
For the annual?
From the other proposals we received.
Yeah, from the other proposals. Thank you.
Mike, the only question and comment, and I believe I might have made this in the joint meeting or we had talked this previously, but I just wanted to make the comment that I think one of the things we need to do is track its utilization and just make sure, that people are updating and using that system and enjoying that component of it. But then I think also, to be able to go towards this different pay system. And then finally, I would just say too, that anything we can do to promote some of the changes or what we could do so that people know that it's a little more streamlined, I think that'd be really great.
We will. We'll work with Ann on getting, I expect this will be July before it's fully operational.
Yeah, even if it's just, some type of signage in each of the buses or at bus stops, whether it's a QR code, whether it's a step-by-step direction of what they could do.
This will allow all the passengers, as well as our employees in dispatch, to see in real time where the buses are at as well.
Yeah.
Which for, when people are waiting, feels like a long time out there.
Oh, and I mean, you and I have talked about this. I mean, I remember utilizing the bus service for a number of years before I was driving, and you always are very paranoid if you were there close to the time that you were paranoid that you missed it, or then you don't know how long to wait or wait to the next one, or if that was the last one, if you missed it. And so I think it's extraordinarily going to be helpful for our patrons, but anything to just encourage and educate them of how to utilize it and why it's beneficial, I think is just really important. Sometimes you have to show people,
Right.
step by step of how to maybe get on that and see that.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
F is a resolution approving a 36-month equipment lease agreement amendment to the equipment lease agreement and a non-appropriation addendum with Wells Fargo for lease of a high-volume copier for the city print shop. What's the interest rate on this thing, on this contract? Why would the city sign a lease? Because leases for copiers are historically not very competitive.
Spiro Lahoulis, purchasing manager. I don't have the lease in front of me as far as interest rate. I don't believe there is one. Visual Edge does all their financing through Wells Fargo, so they asked us to do the agreement with Visual Edge for the equipment lease itself. Then the service agreement, which is next, will be with Visual Edge. So the bid did not include an interest rate in it. It was the flat rate, which is what we're paying.
You think Wells Fargo's in the business of doing leases for no interest rate?
Well, I know last time we did this 3 years ago, we did have to come back and get the language changed because it was the same thing. So, yeah.
Okay. G is a resolution approving a maintenance agreement with council for 36 months of toner, service parts, and labor for high-volume copier. H is a resolution approving change orders to the contract Vector Construction for the Martin Building basement and sub-basement structural concrete repair project. I is...
Mayor?
Yeah.
I need to abstain on that item, conflict of interest. Same thing with item I. Need to abstain.
I is a resolution approving amendment number 1 to the consulting services agreement with FEH Design for the Martin Building basement and sub-basement structural concrete repair project. J is a resolution approving amendment number 1 to the development agreement with 3094 Floyd Avenue and IPE 1031 Rev 521 related to the purchase and development of land in the combined Floyd River urban renewal area. Maybe when we close on this piece of property, we might have enough to buy some of the properties that we were supposed to be buying back. I think you might know what I'm talking about. We'll talk. Actions relating to personnel, motion approving the annual performance evaluation for the Human Rights Director. I have one question. Why are you 18 months behind on this?
I'm a new commissioner as of this year. This was not resolved.
Go ahead and state your name
Make sure and
and
talk right into that mic so I can hear.
Valerie Yukin,
address, Bill.
58181 866 Road, Concord, Nebraska.
Go ahead then.
Therefore, this wasn't taken care of prior to us coming on. Therefore, then, when we came on this year, we approved it.
Okay, well, hopefully you'll give us another one. I mean,
6 months.
probably need some time to come up with your own evaluation, but hopefully we can get these caught up.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate your help. B is a resolution amending the position classification manual by approving an updated job description for a police lieutenant. C is a resolution amending the statement of authorized personnel complement by deleting 2 part-time administrative secretary positions and adding 1 full-time administrative secretary position in the Neighborhood Services Division. 11 are actions authorizing payments. A is a resolution authorizing payment to HCI Construction for the Convention Center Meeting Room Updates Project. B is a motion approving all claims and total expenses for January. Items 11C1 through 11C3 are resolutions approving partial settlements of tort claims and authorizing payments. 12 are actions relating to property. A is a resolution amending Resolution 2024-018 relating to release of a retained easement in the 1300 block of West 3rd Street to correct a Scrivener's error.
Mayor?
Yes.
Need to abstain on that item, conflict of interest.
B is a resolution approving a corrective city deed property adjacent to 5888 Orleans Avenue. The petitioner is Carrie and Marilyn Worrell. C is one is a resolution inviting proposal for underground electric easement, announcing the intent to accept the proposal of Mid-America Energy and scheduling a hearing property at 5701 Haynes Drive in the Sioux Gateway Airport. C2 is a resolution inviting proposals to an underground gas pipeline easement, announcing the intent to accept the proposal of Mid-America Energy and scheduling a hearing the property at 5701 Al Haynes Drive and the Sioux City Gateway Airport. 13 is appointments to the Effective Fiscal and Public Policy Committee. A is a motion reappointing Wendy LaCroix to the Effective Fiscal and Public Policy Committee. B is a motion appointing Jacob Wonderscheid to the Effective Fiscal and Public Policy Committee. 14 are resolutions awarding a purchase order to Inverus Training Solutions for an officer virtual reality simulation suite. B is a resolution awarding a purchase order to Kildowski Security for 1 year of SOFA's Central Managed Detection and Response and Network Detection and Response Services. 15 are applications for beer and liquor license. 16 are boards, commission, and committee minutes. That concludes the consent agenda, so we'll vote electronically. Passes 5-0. 17 is appointing 2 of the following 3 applicants to the Museum Board of Trustees, Rachel Barnum, Don Duzick, or Jim Tillman. Somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we appoint Rochelle Barnum and Don Duzick.
Matthew, did you have other feelings?
I would like to move Raquel Barnum, and Jim Tillman was the other individual I was planning on moving. I spoke with a couple of members of the board and a couple of past members of the board, and those 2 names were brought up pretty consistently with regards to diversifying the board that we currently have serving. Everybody seemed to agree that Raquel Barnum should definitely be nominated, so that was good to hear.
Well, and yeah, I think we have a lot of great applicants here, and I think
we do.
And I appreciate the skill set that they all inherently bring, whether it's diverse backgrounds or whether you're thinking of their experience or what they currently do. I attempted to do my due diligence as well and heard and spoke with a number of different individuals related to the museum. And one of the things that I heard was solidifying the connection with where Don is currently serving and being on that board with, was it Pierce Street, that museum, and then the museum downtown. It was just encouraged that that would really solidify that relationship and make that partnership so much stronger. Because I know Jim, you know, and I believe in his service to the community as well. I don't know Rochelle as well. I did receive a couple of emails as far as wanting to think about diversity and diverse representation. Here's where my thought process went. I really believe in Don Dusick. I believe he needs to be on the board, or that would get my vote. And then thinking about the two of them, and if it is, I didn't hear a lot of for or against necessarily for Rochelle. So then I was thinking, okay, let's think about more the diverse background and diverse perspective. And there are already currently 2 women serving on this board. And to my knowledge, there are no African Americans serving on this board. So that's where I kind of erred towards voting for the 2 gentlemen, Don Dusick and Jim Tillman. But I would say, due to the position of Don and wanting to solidify that connection, that's where I would my vote would be for that. But the other 2, I could understand arguments either way.
I have some confusion because I believe we have 2 motions overlapping,
Nobody seconded it.
but nobody seconded. So perhaps each individual should be moved separately for a vote procedurally if there's maybe not clear direction on moving.
My motion will die for lack of a second because I made the first motion. And if there isn't a second.
Well, and
Matthews has died.
and that's just it.
Is you making a motion, Alex?
Well, I would move to approve Don Dusick to the Museum Board of Trustees.
Not a second one?
I'm just doing one.
I'm asking.
Yeah, correct. Just doing one at a time.
Second.
Okay.
Second your motion.
Yes. Thank you.
Nay. Nay.
Shaner? Aye. Scott?
Well, this is tough because they're all good, but I'll go aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
They're all good. I'll go aye. So that appoints Don.
Yes.
Somebody make a motion for the second one.
I'll move Brickell Barnum.
Second.
Shaner? No. Scott?
I'm going to vote no. I think I don't think we've ever had a minority member on that board. That's a tough one.
Waters?
I had the same logic, so I would vote no.
Moore?
No.
O'Kane?
Aye.
Motion for Jim Tillman.
I'll move it.
Shaner? Aye. Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Kane?
Aye.
Recommendations of P and Z. 18 is a hearing and ordinance vacating a portion of South Leonard Street. P and Z recommends approval. Petitioner Bradley Smith. First consideration was approved on February 5th. Second was approved on February 12th. Need a motion for that?
Abstaining, conflict of.
I'm abstaining, conflict of interest.
So moved.
Second.
Be nice to get off of this agenda item for a
Passes 3-0 to 2. Mr. Moore and I abstain, conflict of interest. Hearing 19 is a hearing and resolution approving plans and specs for the sidewalk infill project. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. 20 is a hearing and resolution approving plans and specs for the fiber optic project. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing is now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. 21 is a hearing and resolution assenting to the request of Dick and Dave Properties to annex into the city property at 2100 block of Decatur Street. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. 22 is a hearing and resolution approving the proposal to sell property adjacent to 343 South Nicollet Street. Petition of Georgia Muhlenberg. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing is now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. 23 is a hearing and resolution approving proposal to sell property adjacent to 405 South Nicollet Street. Petitioner Georgia Muhlenberg. Public hearing, or I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing is now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. 24 is a hearing and resolution approving the proposal to sell property adjacent to 404 and 408 South Cleveland Street. The petitioners Douglas and Pam Hesse. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing is now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. 25 is a hearing and resolution approving the proposal to sell property adjacent to 1211 West 5th Street. The petitioner is Isabella Square Developers. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing is now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. 26 is a hearing and resolution approving a proposal to sell property adjacent to 350 South Cleveland Street and authorizing a deed. The petitioner is Mike Phelps. I'll move that.
Second.
Hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. 27 is a hearing and resolution approving a proposal to sell property adjacent to 400 South Cleveland Street and authorizing a city deed. Petitioner is Michael Phelps. I'll move that.
Second.
Hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. 28 is a hearing and resolution approving a proposal to sell property adjacent to 4444 Dace Avenue and authorizing a city deed. Michael Phelps, petitioner. I'll move that.
Second.
Hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. 29 is a hearing and resolution approving a proposal to sell property adjacent to South Cleveland Street and 4444 Dace Avenue and authorizing a deed. Petitioner is Michael Phelps. I'll move that.
Second.
Hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. 30 is a hearing and resolution approving a proposal to sell property adjacent to 400 South Cleveland and 4444 Dace Avenue and authorizing a deed. Petitioner's Mike Phelps. I'll move that.
Second.
Anyone to be heard? Public hearing is now open. Seeing none, the hearing is closed.
Matthew.
Passes 5-0. Hearing, 31 is a hearing and resolution announcing the intent to accept one of the proposals submitted for property at 3100 Floyd Boulevard and scheduling a hearing, deferred from February 12th, 2024. Staff will make a motion to amend this item. We have to open it first and then amend, so I'll move it.
Second.
What's your amendment, Mr.?
Mayor and Council, Chris Myers, Business Development Coordinator. On today's agenda is a resolution to choose one of the two proposals that we received. As you're probably aware, we did receive a proposal from McDonald's USA and another one from a developer from Minnesota who is also the Domino's franchisee in the area. Those are the two proposals we received. Staff is recommending the McDonald's proposal due to the fact that the capital investment is about twice as much as the other proposal, and they are offering a significant amount over the asking price. So in order, if you were to go with that recommendation, we would need to amend the resolution accepting the McDonald's proposal.
And to be clear,
Yes.
McDonald's is offering almost $200,000 over the asking price.
Yes.
In addition to that, they've promised 72 full and part-time employees versus the Domino's route of 40 full and part-time employees.
Yeah.
So additional jobs as well.
Yeah. And I have Michael Mateen from McDonald's is here to speak if you have any questions that I can't answer.
I would suppose, well, first off, I understand staff's recommendation, and I appreciate you soliciting those and bringing it forward for our consideration. Look, I'm always going to wish and hope for diverse options in our community. So I would have loved to have seen something that we maybe don't have in this community. That's definitely something I hear a lot about other franchisees that we would like to pursue or to secure for our community. But I agree with Matthew's assessment. I mean, I think this is a significant investment with the developer, and I really appreciate the aggressive nature of their proposal, and I believe in that product and its ability to have an economic impact in that area.
We believe over a lot of other franchises, we believe the McDonald's location would drive a lot more traffic into Northern Valley, which will help sell the other two lots that we still own. And just to address the other franchises, a lot of them that I know you and Julie has mentioned a few as well. A lot of those, we had a realtor from the Clinton area that had been investigating probably at least half a dozen different franchises that are new franchises to the area, and he just couldn't get them to commit.
To bite. And I understand, and that's no fault necessarily of yours or ours. I mean, they have to make their decisions. But I would say, you know, whether it is this secondary proposal or we continue pursuing these other options, I think with the remaining property or with other locations, if there is an interest, that we continue to aggressively pursue those, or at least have that conversation that, hey, you know, there doesn't have to be a winner and a loser. We can look at a secondary location or other options and see if they would be, you know, if they would have that interest.
Of course. So. And the Domino's franchisee had originally contacted us about one of the back lots, and then heard that we were in the middle of this process. So he submitted one for, so he may be interested in developing on the back lot.
And the last thing I would say about the developers as far as that is, I did notice in the portfolio of the Domino's developer that he's done caribous. I hear plenty about wanting another caribou in town, or something like
That
that.
may be tricky with the scooters and a Starbucks
Right there.
Yeah.
right there.
Well, hey, I'm just thinking other
across the street.
areas
Right.
of the city, you know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
doesn't necessarily have to be there, but
Coffee corridor.
Yeah.
that's for sure. So no, I appreciate, the only question I had for the developer that I don't think you could answer was just that this is one of the newer style, state-of-the-art, that type of facility. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be the old style necessarily, but I just want to make sure that this is a new style rolling out in our community. Because I don't even know if we have any of the,
One too that
where, because I was going to say, I didn't know if we had any other of the brand-new style facilities or not.
No, it's our typical prototype that we've used throughout the country. We did 100 new developments this year across the country, so everything you've seen is kind of what we're planning on using here. And we can submit design elevations to the council for you guys to review as well.
Okay, because I thought just in the rendering that was in the photos, it looked like a different style than some of the other ones I've seen in the community.
The photo on the cover.
Yeah, that's just a standard one, but we have a different prototype that we've put out when we did our revitalization across the country. So that's the one that we're going to be using.
Okay.
I've seen it before. I think
Sure.
you in town.
Yep. Okay.
With, I'm going to be a little critical here. With 9 grandkids, I get the chance to go to McDonald's more often than I like. I have never seen one in this community that comes close to 72 employees. In fact, oftentimes I get out of the drive-up line because I'm tired of waiting. So how in the world are you going to get 72 when I bet your average McDonald's franchise ones here in town don't employ 35 people?
Yeah, so it's, again, we're open 24 hours, so that's on a rotational base. Some of that's, like I said, part-time and full-time. We look at our average for the region, and so the region, when you include here, Nebraska, and South Dakota, we average about 72 employees, so that's kind of what we're estimating for.
You must be hiding them in the early morning hours because you can't get a cup of
They're
coffee.
prepping all that breakfast.
Do your
Okay, well-
employees work at one location, or are they allowed to rotate through bases?
That's all based on our franchise agreement. We franchise out our site, so they do all their in-store
Oh.
hiring.
Manage.
How they want to manage that.
I've heard about more franchises opening, with the franchisees that have more than one, or the corporate franchises are doing that to kind of make it more convenient as far as scheduling. I mean, nowadays, we have to kind of do that. We're at their mercy.
Paul, can you explain, I just really want to understand the amendment. If we amend the resolution, that would be to accept McDonald's, and does that mean we're bypassing setting a date and having a hearing?
No, we actually were just discussing that to make sure that it was correct. The amendment would be to announce the council's intent to accept the proposal of McDonald's and schedule the public hearing in 30 days, which date we will need from you, Chris, to include in the amendment.
Yeah, it's already in there. It's already written.
I have been
April
unable to
1st.
locate it. Okay, so April 1st is the hearing date, but the date and the time for receipt of any additional proposals is the portion that we would need to add in. So it's usually 1 PM on the date of the public hearing, so we would need an amendment. I'll try to re-summarize
That said all of that.
So the amendment
So
is
moved.
just to show our intent.
Yes, because normally we would have a two-step process. If it's been, a staff has negotiated with a developer, we would bring it forward for just 2 steps, announcing the intent and then scheduling the public hearing. Because there weren't any developers identified at the outset, it becomes a 3-step process to solicit proposals, select one for the council to announce its intent, and then schedule the hearing 30 days later.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure I understood what the motion was going to be.
Now that everything is clear, tell us what the motion has to say. We move to amend.
Move to amend to announce the council's intent to select the proposal of McDonald's USA and schedule the date for any additional proposals to be April 1st at 1 PM in the Economic Development offices, and also scheduling the date of the public hearing on the McDonald's proposal for April 1st at the regularly scheduled council meeting time of 4 PM.
And that's exactly how I would have worded it, so I'll just move that.
Exactly. And I would second
Publishing of
that.
the notice on Saturday.
Yes, and we'll publish a notice announcing all of that in the Journal this coming Saturday on March 2nd. Thank you.
On the amendment.
Apologize, who was my second?
Alex.
Thank you very much. Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
O'Kane?
Aye.
Shaner?
Public hearing is now open, because we voted on the amendment.
Thanks, guys.
Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed.
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
O'Kane?
Aye.
Shaner?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye. 32 is a resolution amending Resolution 2023-0977 relating to demolition at 2108 Ross Street and authorizing a 90-day delay in demolition. I'll move that.
Second.
What do you got, Darrell?
Darrell Bullock, Inspection Services Manager. It is one of the properties that we had ordered demolished in October at that hearing, and we have a new owner of the property that is going to fix it up. I do have the $10,000 bond requirement and all other required documents from him, and staff would recommend granting the stay of demolition.
Don't leave, though, because under council concerns, I want to ask you a question.
I was going to run, but okay.
Well, I'll ask you now because that's the end of the regular agenda, and then we'll open it up. Passes 5-0. These, whatever they're called, convenience stores.
Oh, white
When
oak.
you board up windows in a neighborhood, that's a sign of a bad deal in a neighborhood. Something has to be done with these guys. I mean, what do we got, 3 or 4 of them all boarded up and nothing happening?
I believe they're all actually tied together. If I get through the different lists of LLCs, I think we're coming to find out that they're all owned by the same corporation as well. That's one of them that's on the list. I do have a higher priority for demolition, which is going to be the 1901 Pierce Street, of course, with the fire that happened there. Haven't been able to get things worked out with the owners for them to move forward with it. So
Where's
it's a
that?
matter of public safety. 1901 Pierce Street.
Yeah.
The Ida Apartments.
Yeah.
I did speak with an attorney from there, so they are still looking at it. I did give them an additional 2 weeks to come up with a plan to get it torn down. But the funds need to be spent right now in an area where the most danger, and that's the most dangerous one. But the station at 27th and Court Street, that one is on the list for demolition as well, and that would be probably the next priority to get down.
Well, they haven't told us the truth one time. They've been here like 2 or 3 times on that building. They've never told us the truth.
I would agree.
Time we hold them accountable, and that one down on Gordon Drive is a train wreck. I mean, garbage all over.
We just went through and addressed and sent the letters out for the required letters and notification that cleaned up as well. It was secured, but it looks absolutely horrendous.
Terrible.
I agree. I did have a conversation with a contractor that said that they were coming back and then now they want to try to fix that up again. And I said, you've expended all your chances at this. You've not told us once. I do have a $110,000 bond on that as well. So
on which one?
On the 27th and Court. I was able to get $110,000.
Anything going on with the one in Morningside?
Now, we have a notices out for abatement on that. I've not heard back yet, so we do have to get time for that. So I'm going to guess get ignored, but the other notice. Thank you.
Citizen concerns. Any citizen be heard, come to the microphone, please state your name and address. Seeing none. Mr. O'Kane.
Oh, a few things. I'll try and keep it short. I want to start off with the unfortunate news that we lost the great Wes Whitehead, who served at the state for 12 years. He was a big personal hero to myself. Fortunate enough to go to school with many of his grandkids. And so that was a huge loss to our community. The services are today from 5 to 7, and then there's a service tomorrow at 10 a.m., and that's at the Moore and Becker in South Sioux City. He was a great guy, and I think he set a great example for a lot of us and how to successfully lead and how to advocate for people that don't have a voice. So big shoes to fill. The second thing that I wanted to call attention to is one of the things on our consent agenda today under 4A We do currently have 104 families that are on the waiting list for Section 8 housing. Of those 104 families that are on the waiting list, over 80% of them are considered extremely low income. These are people that are either homeless or at severe risk of being homeless. And I think that we need to own that as a community. And the last thing is this weekend is the Siouxland Home Show, which we had a bit of an interesting organization last year for, but I was just down at the Expo Center for Daddy-Daughter Date Night, and it seems to be traffic is less of a concern this year, so I'm excited to see a good turnout there. And that's everything.
Julie.
The only thing I was going to comment on was just commend, well, a number of people. I'm not even going to try to go down the list, but I think that a number of our different amenities, whether it's sports events happening in our community or events happening at the Tyson Event Center or the Orpheum Theater or the Enter X Place, I think that there has been a ton of activity and people visiting our community and coming here for a whole range of different things. And I mean, I've tried having dinner 2 weekends in a row now downtown, and the restaurants are always doing very well with people waiting for tables, and it's really uplifting to see a lot of that buzz and activity. And I just wanted to commend a lot of those entities that are working so hard to bring those types of things not only to our community, but then once they're here to execute them and make sure that they have a good experience. Because whether you're talking people that live here going to a Muskies game or people that are coming from across the state for a volleyball tournament, we need to make sure that we are welcoming them in any way that we can so that they continue to have a great experience and want to come back. So that's all I wanted to mention, Mayor.
Dan.
One thing, the mayor and I attended the award ceremony at the Art Center yesterday for elementary school students, and it's just remarkable, the turnout. It was probably one of the biggest turnouts I've seen at the Art Center. And it was just a good ceremony, and it's really good to see the parents and grandparents and guardians being so supportive, and teachers working hard to get the kids to where they are with artwork, which I was never very good at, but I tried. But I don't think I ever got an award for some artwork, and it was just really an exciting time.
I'll schedule you a lesson.
Will you?
Yeah.
You know a good art teacher?
If you would have won an award in art, we would know about it, because you won third place in a golf tournament, had to bring your trophy. So
well, my trophy is gone.
I want to say it's pretty much a given you didn't. If you can't remember, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner. Aye. Scott.
Aye, you got it.
Waters.
Aye.
All right.
Alex.
Aye.
Yeah.